Welcome to Tardisian Files. Hello listeners! If you've been keeping up with the news this last week, you'll know that the release date for Doctor Who Season 2 has seemingly been confirmed for spring 2025. So, I thought it was high time that we at the podcast did a long overdue deep dive into the trailer for the upcoming season that first premiered at the conclusion of Joy to the World on Christmas Day 2024. As the trailer was a lot shorter than some of those we've broken down before in the podcast, we will be splitting this breakdown into what we know for sure about the upcoming season, what we can reliably deduce from the trailer about some of the episodes, and what we can speculate from the different Easter eggs in the trailer. Without further ado, let's jump into the breakdown. Starting with what we know about the upcoming season, it's fairly easy since we know precious little. First of all, we know from the various reports that came out this week that it will be airing on the 12th of April 2025. This is a bit earlier from the premiere of Season 1, which premiered in May of 2024 last year. However, we do also know that it will be the standard 13 episodes long, which will be an upgrade from last season, which was only 8. In the news this week, we also found out that actor Christopher Chung from Slow Horses will also be joining the Whoniverse. The 36-year-old actor remarks that he was very excited to be joining the Whoniverse, and likewise, we at the podcast are very excited to see him entering the TARDIS. Moving on to what we can reliably deduce about some of the episodes, this is where we actually dive deep into the trailer. So, first of all, it appears that one of the overarching themes in this series is that for some reason, the TARDIS cannot take the new companion, Belinda Chandra, played by Vardha Sethu, back home. Similar to how the TARDIS couldn't return Lucy Miller to Blackpool in 2006 due to intervention from the Time Lords in the 8th Doctor audio stories. There's 3 episodes that I personally can clearly deduce the premise from based on the trailer released in Joy to the World. The first off is being Belinda's first appearance. It seems to be set in the modern day, with her getting caught in the middle of whatever the smiling robots from the trailer are doing on Earth, or she's being directly targeted by them. At the same time, the Doctor appears to be experiencing strange disturbances affecting the TARDIS. He lands, he meets Belinda, but after an adventure with the robots, he finds that something is preventing him from taking Belinda back to 2025, saying that they'll have to take the long way round. The next episode that I can reasonably deduce the premise for is the Doctor taking Belinda on deep sea diving. We see in the trailer that the pair are jumping out of some kind of airship and sinking directly to the bottom of a body of water, all suited up in a wetsuit similar to those worn by Bill and the 12th Doctor in Doctor Who Season 10, Thin Ice. It appears that this diving trip is the episode in which Christopher Chung's character is going to appear, because we can see from the promo photo that was released in the announcement that he appears to be wearing the same wetsuit that Belinda and the Doctor are wearing in the trailer. And whatever this diving trip is, it seems to warrant Chung's character carrying some kind of gun. Finally, the episode in which Ruby Sunday returns. So, we've known for a while that Ruby was going to make at least one appearance in this season. That was made very clear by Millie Gibson herself and the other Doctor Who producers back in 2024. And it appears that Ruby is going to return in an episode that includes UNIT, including Kate Stewart and Shirley Ann Bingham, and it appears that Mrs. Flood may also be appearing again in this episode. And this episode may very well be the finale, with the main villain appearing to be some kind of alien that takes the form of a sentient cinema cartoon, likely a member of the Pantheon of Gods. And the reason I think this is because you can clearly see Mrs. Flood in the trailer, in the theatre with a pair of binoculars, and then it cuts to the scene with the cartoon alien crawling out of the screen, and you can see just off to the left-hand side Mrs. Flood's head looking down at the screen. Will we finally find out the identity of Anita Dobson's elusive character? One can certainly live in hope. Finally, what can we speculate about this series based on smaller clips within the trailer? Well, one episode appears to involve the Doctor being dragged through some kind of portal behind a door in what appears to be a hairdresser's, as seen in the trailer, with the Doctor and all the customers being dragged through the portal. In the news, Vardha Sethu has also confirmed that her character Belinda will include nods to her previous character from Boom, Mundy Flynn. There's a few ways they can do this, the most obvious one making Belinda Mundy's ancestor, or if they want to do a proper throwback, they could always explain it using spatial gene multiplicity, which is how they explained Gwen Cooper's likeness to Gwyneth from The Unquiet Dead. And quite frankly, with all of the doubles and doppelgangers in Doctor Who's history, I would be surprised if they hadn't come up with a completely random and totally logical but also completely ludicrous way to allude to the pair, linking them in some cosmic way. Finally, one thing that eagle-eyed fans have noticed since Christmas is the possibility of Skaro's return. One of the clips in the trailer shows a group of flying saucers flying through the skyline of a futuristic or alien city, firing down on the buildings. Anyone who's been a long-time fan of Doctor Who, even going as far back to 1963 with the Daleks' first appearance, will recognise that the buildings and the flying saucers are reminiscent of Dalek technology, indicating that the planet that we see in the trailer may very well be Skaro, or at least the Daleks will be returning, hence the flying saucers. I personally don't think that Skaro is returning, as I find it strange that the Daleks would be firing down on their own city. However, I will concede that the Daleks may be returning, since very few, if any, aliens in Doctor Who have ships shaped like flying saucers. So it is not a lot to go off of. There's not been as much in the media, because Russell T Davies is likely trying to keep a lid on Season 2 now that he's drummed up enough enthusiasm when the series first came back for the new era of Doctor Who. However, we're not going to be giving up. If the media is to be believed, then Doctor Who will be landing on the 12th of April, and we all know that a lot more trailers, a lot more interviews, and a lot more noise in the media is going to be generated in the run-up to the premiere of Season 2. So we're going to be keeping our ears to the ground. Likewise, if you guys have been listening and like the podcast, please share your theories, share anything that you can find in the media about the upcoming season of Doctor Who. We would love to see what you guys come up with, and we would love to discuss it further on the channel. Thank you to everyone who's been listening, whether you've been listening for a week or whether you've been listening for nearly 3 years since the podcast first started. We're very grateful to all of you. What did you think of our breakdown of the trailer? Do you agree with our theories? Did you notice something we missed? Let us know in the comments section on our YouTube channel and our social media pages. You can listen to all episodes of the podcast on YouTube, YouTube Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Tardisian Files Podcasts to get the latest updates on upcoming episodes. And as always, see you next time on Tardisian Files.